Is it? It's not next week, but the week after that we have class again, right? Week 8?
Yes. That sounds right.
Okay.
Okay, so the first one is chapter 3.
Week 9.
There's chapter 3 of roads, which is about legal things. That a lot of this we know
Yeah.
because of SPED and other things.
Yeah, I
right?
felt like it was very much like SPED in a nutshell.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
SPED abbreviated.
That is what I thought a lot too. But there were things that I didn't know about, like the first two cases, the decree cases. I've never heard of those.
Yeah.
So that was interesting.
I think there were some that were like very specifically related to like ELL students, and then I think in SPED it was more just like the broad like category of
Yeah.
because like ELL and SPED are two different things, but we also learned how to like help ELL students in that class.
And they
so.
overlap. I feel like
Yeah.
that was talked
Yeah.
about a lot
Yeah, it
in
was.
this whole post
Uh-huh.
about kind of how those overlap, because it's like every time you have an ELL, depending on where they're at, that's always maybe a consideration. And
Yeah.
that seems to be something that intertwines.
But like a lot of ELL students, even if they don't have like special needs of any kind, will get put in special ed because the teacher doesn't understand how to work with them,
Yeah.
which I feel like is an issue. But also, I think
And they're starting to change.
yeah,
And the presentation I had to do for one of the classes, schools got funding for more SPED kids they had.
oh.
And so if they couldn't do anything with the ELS, they just put them in special ed and then they get more money.
Wow.
Yeah, working within the system to try to get kids help. I thought like part 2 was interesting, where it was like talking about the video and like the 3 different students. And I feel like the first Osmond's case, or Osmond, he was the one that was like most explained about.
Maybe they just touched on.
Yeah, and then Fatima and Sabina. Like Sabina just got introduced.
Yeah,
to us. That was basically it. And then it was like, okay, what would you do as a teacher? So I feel like we know the most about Osmond.
What kind of ideas did you have? Because I just wasn't really sure where to go with those. I felt like I wanted more information. I also kind of felt like that video was like they were acting.
Yeah, no, I think it
acting?
definitely
Okay,
was.
I couldn't figure it out.
It was very scripted. Looking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was scripted for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like they seem more like actors.
Not that
than
that matters,
teachers.
but-
Yeah, but like still. Yeah.
So yeah, I kind of thought like the same issue was underlying for all of them. It was like lack of communication,
Right.
and it's basically asking us like, how do you fix that? Like, the one where he's been trying to contact the parents and they just won't answer, and I wasn't really sure where to go with like what I would do in that situation.
Yeah. Well, that was Fatima, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I was wondering if like how the teacher's been trying to contact the family, because if you're calling and leaving messages in English and like only it was like one family member that spoke English or something, like how are you going to know that they're actually getting that information? If you send a note home with the kid, it doesn't always get to their parent. A lot of them get like smushed at the bottom of the backpack or thrown away or things like that. So I feel like the teacher just needed to try a different approach to contacting the family and like learn more about the family to see like what the best form of like contacting them would be, and also like working on I think it might have been Osman who I said it might be important to like have a home visit or something, like if I think I can't remember if it was Osman, but the teacher was saying that like the ELL specialist was saying that a lot of families who are like refugee families are working like 2 jobs, like each parent is working 2 jobs just to make ends meet. And so I feel like if you're able to go to that student's home on the, like, when you're
time
like,
it's convenient.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, when you're on like the parents' timeline instead of your own, then that's going to be a lot easier to do if you're willing to take that extra step. But I feel like if you just want to be able to contact that kid like you would like a white middle class kid's parents, like that two completely different things, you know. So yeah, I feel like you're saying, it's a lot of like communication.
Yeah.
Between
Between
parents and
parent,
teachers.
teacher, and the ELL specialist.
Yeah.
I like she was like in the middle.
Yeah. I really liked how she was like pointing out like errors in their thinking and like, well, no, like you're not looking at like the culture that they come from, or you're not taking this into consideration, and like remember that this is part of something that we might be dealing with. And I liked that she pointed those things out so that the teacher like might be able to like catch themselves when they're starting to like make assumptions and things like that. So
Because like the one dude, he was like, oh, my neighbor, is friends with the family. And, he really thought that he was helping. Like, he was like, this is so cool. They already know each other, and then didn't really think about like, well, that's not the neighbor's information.
Yeah.
And
that's like
not
private.
appropriate. And so it was like, I don't know, because you have to think about how many people this happens. Like the very first thing in part 1, it said rules were made because someone somewhere.
Exactly.
And so it's like, even when we think we're helping, it's like, well, we aren't.
Yeah.
Because of this reason.
Yeah, I really like that you pointed that out, because I was thinking about it and I was like, if I were a student and I were like being mischievous and like saying swear words in a different language to other students, I would like be very resentful of my next door neighbor, like being like knowing about this. Or as the parent of that student, I would be like, this is so embarrassing that they're translating this and like they're finding these things out. Like this is not a reflection of me or my parenting,
Yeah.
And so I feel like that's just kind of like the sort of thing. But then when it comes to language, people just seem to like, they're like, oh, somebody speaks that language. Okay, we'll just get them to come in. You don't think about like the cultural norms or the fact that like if you're talking about private information, like that's really insensitive to do something like that.
And like I also like that the other lady, because one of them suggested like, why doesn't the student translate for them? And it's like, well, then it puts the student like at this different role
the
than
sibling,
the parents.
and
sibling, or sibling, like sibling translate, it puts them in a different role. And like when I was in high school, we read like a book about coda, which is a child of a deaf adult, and codas have to translate for their parents all the time. They translate phone calls, and it gets so inappropriate and uncomfortable because they'll translate like doctor's notes and things, and they're like, they grow up and they're just like, I feel like all I've ever been is my parents' keeper. And so she said, let's not do that because it's like inappropriate. It's like uncomfortable.
Plus, you're taking away from that student's like learning if you're constantly using them as an interpreter. Like I remember I worked at I volunteered at a school that was like I think 80% Hispanic or something, and it was in Federal Way. And we had this student that came in, and she was like brand new to the U.S. Like she had moved here from, I think it was Iraq, with her dad and her mom and her siblings. But the siblings were like grown up, and the only person that like spoke a similar language was like this other little girl who was in like 2nd grade, and this little girl was in like kindergarten. And so even though they didn't speak like the same exact dialect, they were kind of able to communicate. But then this little girl was being taken out of class to like help this student to be able to like communicate. And that's so problematic because then you're taking away from that student's learning time, and you're putting them in a position where like that's a lot of pressure on a kid to have to do that. And not just that, but like the teacher was just like, she did not know how to deal with like culture shock or anything. Like I remember I was there for like the first few days that this little girl was there, and she like kept trying to run out of the school. yeah, like she was like bawling her eyes out and asking for her mom. And I was just like, this is so heartbreaking. I just want to like cuddle you and be like, it's okay. But oh yeah. And so like eventually she got used to like being in the classroom. And she started picking things up, like especially math. She was really fast at it, and it was really cool to see her like be confident in that area. But in a lot of other ways, like she definitely had needs that were not being met by that teacher. So
So it's like finding the appropriate times, because like I know in your group at
Yeah,
night,
that's what I'm thinking about.
you have I was like I bet you think about this, but like it's an appropriate setting. He's with peers, like it's like a peer group sort of thing. Like that's what ELL needs.
yeah.
We've never asked him.
No.
He's
Yeah.
such a great
Yeah.
kid. It's amazing. But I feel like translating everything, like that is not getting us to the point of like, I don't know, it's not doing anything for the communication between like Naomi and I and our students who we still are not getting any English from them because it's just being translated, and I mean it's very necessary to continue to do what we're doing. But like I don't want it to be translated all the time, that's like completely ruining the point of why we're there. I feel,
That's
so
hard,
it's like, but it's like, and there's no way to be like, okay, here, don't help us.
Yeah, right. Like stop translating.
Yeah.
Stop trying to be helpful.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
That's where like those PSYOP strategies we've been learning.
Yeah.
Because then even
You
if
don't need
he's
that.
helping translate, you're like still using so much images and
Yeah,
repeated use
yeah.
of the vocabulary that they're gonna pick it up anyways.
That is totally what I was thinking yesterday. Like, that'd be helpful. Like, put him in a position where he doesn't even have to. Which we try and do that.
Right.
It's
Right.
difficult.
Yeah. And this is like our first practicum, like actually working with a population that is like very highly like composed of ELL students. So but I loved all of those different like strategies, the GLAD strategies that Jen Green like came in and
Oh yeah,
talked
that's
to
what
us
I meant
about.
to say. Glad, not PSYOP.
Oh yeah.
Same difference.
Yeah,
right?
I got what you're saying, but like that whole time I was totally like into it, and I was paying attention, and I don't know if it's like the way that she teaches, because like she's an incredible teacher, so that makes a difference, but also like the way that she was doing things, I loved how she exactly modeled what we would be doing. And I feel like that is like lacking in that class. Like we're not getting that time to like be able to like see how things should be taught. And I love that like Jen came in and did that, because it was like I feel like I finally know how I can actually like do something to help my kids.
I like how it's like directly applied to what we do.
Yeah,
Like
definitely.
like one of my roommates was looking at like, I want to know what your homework is like. Like, what do you do? And she's reading like some of these questions and my answers, and she's like, this is so directly applicable to what you're doing.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm like, yeah, it is. Like, that's really the cool part.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you going to do in the school to make this difference? And it's like directly related.
Everything goes back to how we're gonna teach, and I really love that, especially like in these discussions, just being able to like work through things bit by bit, like each week, and like not have to focus on every single thing in like one discussion, but like having these important like connections develop between like the pedagogy and what we're doing right now,
Just the theory and application.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so for chapter 2, like when I was reading this makes me, if any of you taken, it's either ELL or American Studies, it's like both of them for 12. It's Bridging Barriers with Migrant Youth. I'm in it right now, and actually that's the class I go to after this, and it's really cool and really good, and like when I was reading this one, it made me think about that a lot, especially with the video that we'll talk about.
Yeah.
But like I talked about like how we like find diversity, and like how we define it and all these things, and page 22. Oh, those are people. Those are our people.
Oh my gosh, sorry. Like, we're all getting distracted.
Yeah, on page 22, there's a really cool quote. And, it was like, when there is a relationship, there's also a space of difference between the two things. Isn't that cool? And so it's talking about how diversity is that space of difference, and it can only happen when it's dependent on something and it has relationships with each other, so they become interconnected. And it was like cool because at my work orientation the other day, she was like, "What is diversity?" And someone was like, "Differences," and she was like, "Yeah, differences." And I was like, "But there's more." And then the next day we read this, and I was like, "Yes, that's it. It's differences that are still coming from relationships and being connected, like differences that can only come from being connected." And so that was really dope.
This chapter, I was like, whoa.
Yeah,
I know. How much things are we bringing into this?
Right?
Like every night, it's like we're because I'm always trying to think back on us as teachers, you know, which this definitely like strayed from a lot.
Yeah.
But then it always comes back to like intertwining, like bringing in the earth and classroom, and I'm like, what?
Yeah. I like the ideas that were kind of like just embedded in that article about like how diversity doesn't just mean like you look different from me. Like it means you have a completely different experience from mine, and like recognizing that and not seeing it as a deficit is so crucial for us to be able to help our students, because if we always see any kind of diversity, whether it's like in ability or like language or whatever it may be, like we need to be able to not just help that student to like assimilate to American culture, but also like just focus on like helping them to preserve that cultural identity and like the diversity that they have, and helping them to understand that like it's a good thing, and it's awesome that we're all different.
Like how good it is. It was stressed so much in this, like how important diversity is for life.
And then it all goes back to like I don't remember which one we read. It was probably a couple weeks ago, but the idea, salad bowl versus melting pot. It's important to maintain who you are, and then just be part of the salad.
We talked about we talked about that in my Asian American Cultural Studies class, and I feel like that's such an important idea, because like we're not all going to be able to like just get melted together and become like clones of one another, and besides which that would be an incredibly boring world. But like not everyone is going to have those same experiences as other people, but like we can all still like live in a community with each other and like benefit from our differences.
Because like with what he was saying, or she, this person, it's like the dependence, how you depend on people. Dependence?
Okay. Sorry, I can't talk today.
Like one of the examples, they had, actually it was a bunch of examples, but it was like the little thought bubble, Johnny's memory and all their memories, and Becca's, and they said that they thought of diversity when they were like on their horse, and they were in a field, and there was bees and things and flowers, and it's like, and when I was reading it, all I could think of was like a farmer's market. Like we come and we participate, and like you take things and you need these things and they need these things, and it's all connected. And it's like, and there's all many differences, but then you put it in like a salad, and it's like,
I love the way this chapter like brought in those ideas, like I said, like about community sustainability, because like, so my roommates and I talk about our disciplines like all the time, because I'm really separated from them. They all have some sort of environmental sustainability, environmental business, like things like that, and I'm always trying to think of like how ours are similar, and it's like this brought it in so much, like talking about the community of a classroom and how it's like a micro community,
Definitely.
like the community that we live in.
Okay, so we all answered like the guidelines part of it.
but how would you like, I don't know, sorry.
I feel like it was really be able to like go through the reading and like pick out parts of the reading and like what I did was I just like wrote down main ideas and then I looked at every single one of them and I was like, these can all relate to like having a classroom community. Like having decisions made for the welfare of the entire community, not just those with more privilege, which completely relates to education because often like what happens is the default is on like white middle class kids and that's who like gets to like benefit from that education and everyone else just has to kind of like deal with it or whatever. But the fact that like what we're learning is to be able to not just teach to the students with the most privilege, but to every single student that we have.
Differentiation.
Yeah.
And I'm like on that on page 26, it started talking about let's see if I can find it. It's talking about ways that people rationalize exclusion.
Yeah.
And so kind of going on, I don't know, that just made me think
Yeah.
right there that we think of all these rules and then it's like
Yeah.
who's in charge, who does this,
Yeah.
who does that, and that's exactly what the bridging barriers class
Yeah.
is. It's like who decides who an immigrant is, who decides who's a good immigrant, and
Yeah.
bad immigrant.
Yeah.
We got into some history there.
Oh
And I was like, good to review this type of thing.
Yeah.
It's all familiar, but I like listening about this again, especially Thomas Jefferson, you know.
I just think it's really cool to like look at things like that through the lens of a teacher and not just like as a student because now I feel like I care about a lot of those
can
things
apply those
more
ideas,
because I can
actually.
apply them. Yeah. So yeah, but I thought it was so complex to think about like how even just a classroom is built on all of these like societal like necessities. Like everyone decides on rules that they're going to abide by, just like we decide on laws that we think need to be followed. And like, what else? Like being an active member within your community and like voting and things like that. Yeah. And like in the classroom, it's like participating and being able to like add to what's being discussed or taught. And I think it was interesting to look at it from like the eyes of being like an equal to the students, if that makes sense. Like, yeah, kind of just thinking of it not as like I'm the teacher and you're the student, but like
trying to
we're
think
all
of
in
it
community with one
as a
another.
democracy.
Yeah.
Democracy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then you're still like the president.
Then
Yeah.
you take power.
Yeah.
Right.
No,
Right.
we're not gonna do that.
Yeah, but we're not like
Exactly.
we're not like dictators, you know, or like fascists or anything. Well, most of us.
It was pretty interesting to be diving into this kind of idea with like everything that's going around with us, like talking about like what democracy really means.
Yep,
and
and like politics
how
and
that's
stuff.
how that's
currently.
so relevant
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too.
I guess I was trying to think of like a muddy question for this
Oh, yeah.
section, and whenever I kept reading what can you take away from this chapter is the importance of creating a sustainable classroom community, and like I was trying to think how I could do that, and like you know how all your roommates are like environmental people, like how can we incorporate like the environmental sort of like
Idea of whatever.
yeah, like how do we like integrate that into our classrooms as well?
Maybe like looking at your classroom as not only like this is just off the top of my head, but like not only as being a community itself, but like looking at your classroom community as being part of like a wider community and like teaching students that like we all have a responsibility to take care of the earth because this is the only one we're going to get. And so like talking about things like recycling and other environmental things, how we can have like less of an impact on climate change and stuff like that. I feel like is really important because then you're not just teaching your students how to like function as an adult, but like to be their own advocates and to advocate for like the earth and for things that are important to like creating a better society as a whole.
I just wonder. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it just made me think of the in
Yeah.
the Bellingham public schools and like how they all have those gardens
Yep.
that the kids make, and then they like have
That's
the
so cool.
potlucks and share about like why supporting local farmers is important.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely was thinking that and thinking, okay, well in Bellingham, like what I've experienced through practicums in Bellingham, children are pretty aware. Like I had a couple students writing persuasive papers on recycling and things like that. And I know that we have like this view that everyone is like I talk about this with my roommates. Bellingham is very much ahead on these ideas and very separated from many other
Just the
places like
Pacific
throughout the
Northwest
country.
in general,
Yeah.
I feel
In
like.
general, yes, but then
Yeah.
it's like Bellingham is even like
Yeah.
this forefront of
Yeah.
like these ideas.
Mhm.
So it's like, okay, I don't know. What I see is children being aware, but I don't think that that's true for everywhere. Especially like,
Yeah.
what if we move to somewhere on the other side of the country or like in the South where like
Mississippi.
they don't even give a crap.
Yeah. Right.
Or even the other side of the state.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe those things
Eastern
are-
Washington. Yeah. See, my roommate who's from California, I am constantly getting upset with her because she doesn't know how to recycle, and she'll throw things in the trash that are recyclable, or she'll throw things in the recycling that are not recyclable, and I'm like, just look it up. Just like, if you actually cared about it, it'd be different. But I know that like that's not something that I guess was important to
Yeah.
her or her family, which is interesting to me because like I grew up with a mom who was like, okay, we have our compost bin, and then we have like all of our recycling, and like you need to recycle everything that's recyclable, and you know, that sort of thing, where it was like, it was very clear to me like how all of it worked.
Yeah.
But I feel like no, I know that not everyone grows up with that, because not everyone cares as much about like their environmental impact, or they don't have that like knowledge to be able to.
I just like, yeah, I wonder how, like, if there's like a best way to go about
Yeah.
teaching environmental justice and stuff.
And you also don't want to impose your own like views on
Yeah, that's true. That's a good
And
point.
like one of my campus kids a couple years ago for the tour, like my tour group went and we watched a play, and all about the whole main idea was the play. It was like, when you go hiking, don't go in the woods, because when you step on leaves,
Yeah.
you crush the ecosystems. You think like I was never learned about that. So when I watched it, I was like, oh
Yeah.
like how do we go about teaching environmental justice in like a really broad. fair way
Yeah.
that gets as much as like math and stuff.
Yeah, because I feel like that is so important to like the human race.
Yeah, I think that question.
Yeah, here, I'll go. But yeah, because like those are things that are definitely going to matter a lot more than like being able to know what like the diameter of a circle is or something. You know what I mean? Like it is 28:25.
Okay, should I back it up? Should I make it?
Yeah, just do 28. But yeah, so like, I feel like there are definitely some concepts that, to me, are more important to teach than like just what's in the like curriculum on the paper, you know? Because when it comes down to it, it's not only important to know how gravity works and things like that, but like, let's talk about global warming and the fact that like the polar ice caps are melting, and there are like real issues going on that we're not talking about, and it's important to like be aware of that so that you know what impact you have on the world.
Having 80-degree days in April.
Yeah, in Washington. Yeah. Yeah, but that's a good point, because like we're never like really taught how to teach those things. Like we're taught how to teach science, and
That can be
kind of
like
thing.
tied in.
Yeah, and it's definitely tied in with like the curriculum that we're supposed to be teaching, but also I feel like a lot of it's about like what you need to be able to know just to be an adult rather than be like an adult who cares. You know, like I don't know if that makes sense, but like it's different to produce a person that is just able to be a person, and a person who is able to care about other people, not just themselves.
of like last week's question we had was like, how do we teach, like stopping the ticker
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
Like those bigger concepts, which are like so to me, maybe it's not accurate, but are so much more important than a lot of what we're supposed to be teaching. And I feel like if we are able to start those ideas from an early age, like those kids are going to be like so interested in those things, and they're going to grow up to be like somebody who finds the cure for cancer, or like, you know, like anything's possible. So I feel like if we focus on
I do feel like that
producing
type of
good
thing
citizens,
is so dependent on the attitudes of people around
that's
you.
definitely
And
true.
like the way you're raised and the way the people around you think and feel and act.
But there's
And that's
also
something
about,
that you can like
resources.
Yeah, that too.
And then, sorry, I interrupted.
No,
No, but even if we're like teaching in a Title I school, then we could talk about like, oh, somebody was talking about how like they were gonna talk about recycling plastic water bottles or something in our group yesterday, and I was like, it'd be so cool to talk about how I think Emma Watson's dress was like made out of recycled materials for the Met Gala, and I was like, that is incredible. And it's like why aren't we looking at those things and just being like, this is why it matters, you know? Because like we need people to be able to figure out how to do this kind of thing, because like that's gonna help our world to be a better place to live in. And yeah, and like if you can make a dress, think of all the other things that you could make with plastic water bottles.
That almost okay. I almost have a way to bridge us into the next video. But
movie?
yeah, it's just titled "Video on this Thing," so I keep.
Yeah.
But in the Bridging Barriers class, like the very first thing we watched was a movie called Underwater Dreams, and you've never seen it. And it's like these high school students from Carl Hayden High School, and they're like enter in a robotics competition on the college level. And basically, they go in and they end up beating MIT. And they're four Hispanic students. I think they're all undocumented, and it talks about it's like in our class we focus on like the social justice issues, but then we also had to look at how the film was done, like because at the end it was like a happy-go-lucky thing, even though like one of the guys got deported, like two of them after robotics they couldn't get a job, no one would hire them, so you know they did this, and when they went and met up at the MIT, one of them was like, oh, I'm the guy that invented the earpods, and I'm the guy that works here, and they were like, I work in a restaurant, and I was in the army until I got deported, and like our class, like we learned instantly, like you can't, like we have to look at these videos and think, what is the filmmaker and writer trying to make us think?
Yeah.
So watching that whole video, I was like trying to think, like, okay, what parts are they skimming on? What social justice things are they skipping over? Because there's parts where it was like happy-go-lucky, Sandra won the queen, and and then it was like, but
then like sad, like it went to like real life.
And I appreciate that in the film, that it wasn't just focusing on happy stuff, but I was like, I feel like there's more things they could have just touched on.
And I can't remember her name, but the student who was like, she was going to be like in an arranged marriage, and
it's like
I think she was Muslim.
Yes.
But anyways, she was saying like, I had this dream to like go to college and graduate high school. Well, I graduated high school. Then she was talking to her teacher, and like they were talking about Pygmalion, I think.
Yes,
and
it was Pygmalion.
I was like, oh, this is so cool.
It was so sorry, I love that part.
So she was like talking to the teacher, and she was like, they were just having this like deep, meaningful conversation, and the teacher was telling her that she was like disappointed that that's like how she pictured how her life was going to turn out. She was like, well, I probably won't work because my husband won't want me to. And she's like, well, like she was like, that makes me sadder, that makes me disappointed or something. I feel like that maybe that wasn't the right way to handle that situation, because like this girl is trying to not only deal with like just graduating from high school, which is hard enough for a lot of people, but like she also has like the culture from where she came from, which is being imposed upon her by her family, and she's like struggling with like her like beliefs and like what she wants to,
Mm-hmm.
how she wants to live her life. And she's like, I know that I have like a duty to my family. Like in my culture, this is how we do things. And like, if you talked bad to your dad or something, you wouldn't be a good daughter. And
Yeah,
so,
she said because she fought back.
yeah, exactly. And so I feel like it's really important to also recognize that like we don't have control over what our students choose to do with their lives, but we can have an impact on them and help them to like just know what's available to them, like what's out there.
That's all you can
Yeah.
do, really.
And prepare them for what they want to do, you know. But yeah, it's hard because like then when you're imposing like your Western ideals, it's like, oh, that's wrong. Like her husband should let her work and blah blah blah. It's like, well, if she wants to carry on the traditions of her culture, that's her choice.
Yeah.
Like you can't take that away from
Like
her.
when they were in that group talking, and the girl was like, okay, why do you wear that? Like, I don't like it.
Yeah.
And she's like, I choose to wear this
Yeah.
because of this, because I want to.
And the other girl was like,
Oh,
that
yeah,
makes sense.
exactly.
She's so big.
Yeah.
It was
I
awesome.
love that. And they had like those open conversations where it was like, I've never gotten this.
Yeah.
And it was funny when like the two teachers that they said like both identified as being gay, when they were like, hey, like we're openly gay. How do you think that affects like how other people see us? And like one of the students was like, how do you know you're gay? And they were like, that's a great question. How do you know you're straight or you're homosexual? And I didn't like that they made it a very like binary thing because those were the only like sexualities they mentioned. But so that's problematic in itself. But I like that they were having that conversation. And because like when you don't understand something, like sometimes you fear it because you don't understand it.
Yeah.
And so I feel like the more we know about other people and like things we don't understand, the less likely we're gonna be to like judge them or try to like just say that they're wrong because of what we believe.
That's what I said was surprising about the video, or like what I liked most about it really, was that how open everyone was with each other. Like the students were so open to sharing their personal stories with their peers and with their teachers. And I think that made it really, like that made part of the school system so awesome and work so well.
I wanted to backtrack just a bit because
Yeah,
I thought
sorry.
it was a nutty question.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
When we were talking about the student who was foreseeing like an arranged marriage in her future, but like said her dream was to go to college.
Yeah.
Like, at what point is it our role as teachers to like where do we draw that line between us imposing our culture and us trying to help forward these students' dreams, whether or not they're different from their parents?
Yes.
Yeah, because the boy too. His
Yeah,
parents were
yeah.
like, "Why do you think he can go to college? He does not have the papers. He's not good."
Yeah.
Why? Like, and it was like he wanted to go, so it's like,
Yeah. He had that drive.
and then like, and the whole movie they were talking about like, I feel like I'm in two places. So like,
Yeah.
she's in two places. Like,
Yeah.
both like I want to be in my country, I want to be here, and then I want to support my parents and like listen to what they have to say, but I want to go to college. That's such a good question.
Yeah.
That's so good. You should.
You
say
said
one
it.
more time.
You said it pretty well the first time.
Yeah.
ITRAT. That's her name.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. Let's say 38.
38.
Do you want me to say
It's
it
at
again?
39, so I would say 38. Yeah, if you could repeat it.
Oh yeah. So my many question was just where do you draw the line between helping a student achieve their dreams, but also you don't want to impose your own culture on them. So like, for example, the students in the movie who wanted to go to college, but that wasn't exactly where their parents saw them.
Yeah.
Like at what point do you step back? At what point do you go, yeah, do it. I'll help you. That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So like, where do we draw the line between aiding a student in the pursuit of their dreams and where they
And not imposing like our culture's dreams on them.
Yeah,
Okay.
or norms or
Yeah.
expectations. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a really good point because I was thinking about that too. Like when I think it was two teachers having a conversation with that student, and she she was just like, well, this is like the way it is, and I don't want to like disappoint my family. Like her mom had passed away, and I feel like she said that basically like she has to now do all the things that her mom did to like take care of the house and like take care of the family and like do all those things. So she'd already like taken on that role, and so I feel like she didn't want to like cause more. Yeah, like or worry for her dad because like obviously their whole family's been through a lot, and so I don't know. Just maybe she felt like she had a duty to just like do what her family wanted her to do because of everything that they had gone through.
And then also I was like at the end, my roommate he basically sat next to me. We were just like crying and watching.
Oh, I know, right?
Oh gosh, but like sing.
I just wanted to get that kid out.
I know. I was just like,
And I was just so torn up that there was no one else that spoke his language. And like when I had a really awesome deaf student once that I worked with, and he was so fun, and like I knew something good, so we could talk, but there was no interpreters that could come and like work with him. There was only some volunteers that worked at the school that could like part of their day they could spend with him. And so we didn't like have an interpreter. So like if students like Sing came and they had no English, or like his parents came and they needed an interpreter, like what if there's no interpreter to be found?
Yeah.
No one in the school spoke the language. What if no one in the city spoke the language?
Yeah.
Which was, it was New York, so it was probably a good bet there was someone. But
Yeah.
if we're ever found at like a little town, like what do we do?
I wonder if there's a possibility that like because like if it were school related, I think part of what we talked about in SPED was like there are funds that are allocated to go towards like translators and things like that. So I'm wondering if they could like Skype a translator and have them do something like that, or like over the phone, or just like have some kind of technology where like the person wouldn't have to immediately be there. But I don't know.
And it's hard because like
It would
schools,
totally
like
depend.
they break the rules all the
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
Especially laws, they break them left and right.
Yep.
So it's like, and I guess it's better because we're going toward a more technological sort of future where we can do that.
And I'm wondering, like, I know in the EHRC they have like things where you can speak into like a machine and then it like takes it down for you. I wonder if there would be like some way to like translate from a different language to English or whatever.
I saw videos of that. Like someone knows this language and they know that language, so it goes from like
like
English to Spanish and Spanish to Chinese and then back and forth.
I haven't heard this
some
on
kind of
anything like that.
computer or something. I don't think they have anything like that, but I feel like it could be possible because of the technology that we have. If it were something that people cared a lot about and there was like a high demand for it, and I think the video said like 1 in 4 children is like is from like an immigrant home or something like that, and so I feel like the demand is becoming more and more obvious, and I'm hoping that the kind of technology that we use in our classrooms will like be up to date in that sense, because it will need to be for us to be able to help our students. But yeah.
And well, once again, that's where those GLAD and PSYOP stuff comes in.
Yeah, definitely.
Using pictures and images and
I
reality.
I didn't go yesterday. I had work.
I know.
I have work. I was learning about he's a box cutter. I can use him now.
Yeah,
It was awesome.
Yeah.
I also liked the whole issue of like Sandra.
Oh,
And
that
it
was so
wasn't. It
interesting.
wasn't way more about just her like immigrant story. It was just about her identity as a person, and like it's like, you know, you have to think about that too. Like maybe like the difference between all of these children who have the similarity of coming from a different country, but how different that they are.
Yeah.
Like besides that, like that's really just one tiny thing.
I thought it was so cool though that all of her friends wore tuxedos.
Oh
with
my
their
gosh.
And
my best
then
friend.
oh my gosh, that was like so emotional. And like they were all just finding ways of supporting her and feeling like and making her feel like she wasn't going to stand out as much and like giving her a way to feel comfortable about herself and that was so cool. That was
There
so
was
cool.
something, I can't remember, I think it was at the beginning, where she came in and like showed her example of like her struggle book or something. And she talked about, she's like, before I came here, I didn't have any, like, I've never met like a Hispanic person or a black person. I never met any people like that.
Yeah.
And now I know them and I know that it's okay that we're different. She's
Yeah.
like, it's cool. Because
Yeah.
now I have friends that are different than me. And it was like,
Yeah, and then they were all sitting in a circle, and this one guy was like, before I came here, I never knew a Jewish. And I was like, oh my gosh. And so they were like talking about like, oh, I'd never like known this kind of person before, but I had preconceived notions about them because of like.
And they all said that too. They were all like, I thought that they were bad people.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I met you and you're not bad.
Yeah,
It's
like you're just like me. And I was like, oh, it's so cool. It's so cool. Yeah. I know. That was like
That's a
goals
cool
right
school.
there.
I was like, wow.
I wonder like what the availability of working in an international school is because like that really inspired me to like want to work at a place like that because I was like, this is so cool how they're working with these kids and like what an impact.
Also, they're at a high school, so it's like totally different.
Yeah, definitely. I bet they would have something like that in Seattle. I'll bet you they have an international school.
But yeah, we should get one more money question out of that. Really cool.
Yeah. I have some discussion questions just in general that I came up with as part of my jigsaw thing that I feel like could definitely apply.
I might have to tap out though, because it's
Okay.
3:50.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Do you want me to just keep that?
Sure.
Mark it down?
this is just like very general.
No, it's 9:50.
Okay. Thanks. Thanks, Abby. You're good for me. How can we create a classroom environment that is welcoming to a diverse population, not just in culture or ethnicity, but also taking into account like physical ability and special needs? Because I feel like all of those things play a factor in not just like the curriculum you use or like how you differentiate, but also like the environment that you set up. Because if you have a student who has a like physical disability and they're in a wheelchair, you're going to need to be able to arrange your classroom so that it's wheelchair accessible and that they have a place where they can be comfortable and that they can get around the room. And so I just feel like that's
environment is like the big.
you know, and it's not like even like just in general, like how do you create a classroom community that doesn't just focus on like diversity?
Yeah, and like, sorry, I know
Language,
I'm like out the door, but like,
no,
and how you use like language, like
Yeah.
how you like speak and how like if I'm always like, Corey, how are you? Like
Yeah.
her friends, her peers are gonna come up, Corey, are you okay?
Yeah.
Are you doing okay?
Yeah.
Like they follow that modeling.
Yeah, definitely, especially like little kids.
Yeah, that's just so much to
Which I feel like is
think
why
about.
it is a money question.
Can you rephrase that?
Yeah.
Like that definitely is money question.
Yeah.
because I don't know how to answer that like, really at all.
So this is like 49. So basically, I guess like how do you create a classroom community that is welcoming to
I think they're
a diverse
They're
population
recording that.
and not just like ethnicity or culture,
Yeah.
but also like
For all students.
Yeah, for
Even
all
students
students.
without any like sort of
Yeah,
disabilities or anything.
Yeah.
Just like for all students.
in
English
general,
learners.
yeah.
That's a lot to take into account.
Oh my gosh, yeah. But yeah.
Okay. Would you be okay with that? I think someone's trying to
Yeah.
use the room.
All right.
Bye.